We are live. Welcome to RedBlue pod number 10. So we missed it yesterday. Things happen, So we are there today with our usual co-host. You can now present yourself.
Yep, Cole as always. So how you doing today?
I'm doing well, man. Monday are crazy for me, but they are also good
Same.
because I'm available by nighttime, like right now. So
I'm always available at nighttime. It's just usually other people need me for streams as well, so I'm usually already taken up. But not today.
Usually I work nighttime, but on Monday because I worked like 16 hours, I'm fine on nighttime on Monday. I have a weird schedule. Anyway, with that being said, today we have three topics: She-Hulk episode number 3, Dune the movie, and at last, Stargirl season 3 episode number 1. So with that being said, let's start off with the best show ever, She-Hulk.
Hey,
So off stream, you basically said you almost slept on it. Do you
so
remember the episode?
early anything I remember. Like, yeah, what was his name again? Guy from Shang-Chi, wasn't he in it?
Wong.
Juan, was he? Yeah, he showed up in this episode, didn't he?
Yeah, yeah,
Then I
he
know
did.
there was more like bitching and shit and lawyer shit or whatnot, but for the most part, it's like I was in a coma. I already forgot most of that. I was just so bored out of my mind. It was so unfunny. It it wasn't like it wasn't like horribly made or written like the past episodes were, but it's not. It just doesn't interest me. I remember one thing. Holy fuck. That fucking Wrecking Crew is one of the. I think Jaded Fanboy said it best. If those people went to like like Comic Con and dressed up like that, and they and they said they were the Wrecking Crew, they would get kicked out. What? That is some of the worst costume design I ever seen in my life. Oh, that is not the Wrecking Crew. Then yeah, people were bitching about that post-credit scene, which I mean, maybe get to, but Jesus fuck, right? You're bitching about that, but not about that Wrecking Crew. Holy fuck, that was one of the worst things ever.
That's
Uh,
funny because you speak about the end critics scene. And here's the thing, I don't care about this show. So when the credit roll, I just tap out. I go do something else. I watch something else. I
yeah,
just
people
don't
were
give a
just
shit
like
about it.
bitching. It's just like, oh no, twerking, when it's like, who gives a fuck? Jesus Christ. It wasn't funny, and it was just cringe and a shit scene. But it's people are like, oh fucking. It's just like people were like so fucking offended over that. I'm just like, what the fuck? And then out of all things in this garbage episode in this garbage show, and that's what you're gonna get offended over. Holy fuck! Let's actually criticize the show, people. I'm more concerned with why Megan the Stallion actually became popular than that fucking post credit scene. Jesus Christ!
That's funny because before I've seen reviews, I was only seeing the thumbnails and I was like, did I miss something? And then I remember there's always that stupid end critics scene I don't give a crap about. And that's funny because Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. did the same thing. They almost, most of the time, like 90% of the episode had end credits scene. But Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I cared and I was sticking around and I was always watching. And most of the time they were relevant, they were stinger, they were cliffhanger for like what happened next. But in this
Hmm.
show, they just feel like extra scene, like blooper that didn't make it to the cut of the episode because they were just too bad to
They
be.
actually just seem like bloopers.
Yeah, and that's so sad because you're Marvel Studios. You should have competent writer. You have the money, but obviously they don't want to spend the money there. I'm wondering where they spend the money because let's be honest, Jen was on her lawyer suit most of the time, even if she should always be on court with her She-Hulk costume, because her boss told her that you got this job because you're She-Hulk. So I'm like, where did the money go?
Yeah, Jesus. Yeah, it's like making a show about well, whatever. I don't know if I want to get into that, but Jesus Christ, it's like, I get the empowerment part of this show, but it's like what they're doing is like the opposite of empowerment. Whatever.
It doesn't help. Like, the writing is so bad, the dialogue is so bad.
And they showed again they don't know how to write a courtroom scene or know anything about the law. It's great.
Yeah, and that's funny because people are like, Wong is there, it's amazing. Look, I will be honest here. I did smile. Actually, I laughed once because of Wong. And here's the thing, it's not because of the dialogue in itself, it's because of the actor. I think the actor playing Wong,
Exactly.
he saved that episode
Yeah,
for
his
me.
line delivery made it funny a bit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like the episode was so trash, don't get me wrong, but I think the scenes with Wong were actually cool. I liked Wong a lot. He's
Mm-hmm.
much more likable than all these side characters, and that subplot with the other lawyer was so bad. They did it on purpose, uh like She-Hulk firm defending that guy basically had a guy that represent the other guy, and the other side they had a woman representing the victim, and that's funny because they did on purpose made her win and look smarter than the guy, because that's the writing of this show. Men are trash and women are powerful. I don't mind female empowerment. It's actually good when it's well done. Look at Wonder Woman. The first Wonder Woman is an amazing film, an amazing movie for me. It's one of my favorite movies. And I know I praise it a lot, but I don't care. When I like something, I praise it. And I think Wonder Woman was well done. It's good female empowerment. It's positivity. And at no point she trashed her male counterpart. At no point the writer tell you men wrong, men bad. Like the overall message when they say,
Imagine the writers of She-Hulk wrote Wonder
"Oh
Woman.
my,"
Oh
instead
my
like
god, she
it,
would like push Chris Pine away, like slap him in the face.
instead of saying mankind like as humanity and people from Earth, they would literally say man as a species. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So that
Just Paul Justin Trudeau. It's people kind.
Trudeau, what a a-hole. I cannot wait to vote him out. He's anyway, I won't get too political here, but nobody likes him. He's just there because he's lucky and pretty, I guess. Anyway, let's go back to She-Hulk, man. Okay, Wong. Wong is just great, but here's the thing. I don't care about MCU connectivity, and I feel like the actor carried the role. Like some people will say, "Oh, it's Wong, he's cool." In my case, I didn't really care about the character. I cared for the actor. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and see that's the thing with I've been having with the MCU for a while. Like for most of their films, is when a character like when some lines or a character is good, it's the actor, it's not the writing ever. A lot of the time. I think that
Yeah,
was also to an extent with Multiverse of Madness. Like, there's a lot of stupid shit that made no sense with Wanda and Multiverse of Madness. The amount of stupid in that script that they forced Sam Raimi to do for the MCU bullshit is just laughable. But the actress who plays Wanda, made it work in my opinion to at least a competent level where I liked her, to an extent, but. Yeah, and that's just what I think about the MCU right now. I just think they keep hiring these abysmal writers, and the actors have to try to carry it. And if it's not if it's an actor who was miscast or was overrated or it really was never good, like you can think of some examples like fucking Aquafina or Brie Larson or fucking Mickey Rourke was definitely one of them, and others. Then yeah, that's what's gonna happen. Just
So I will say this right now. We are in episode number 3, and my smile count is at 5. So I smiled twice. So this means I was seeing they were trying to be funny, but they failed. But they got a smile out of it, so it's still worth mentioning. And my laugh count is at 1. As I said, the only time I actually laughed so far was because of Wong delivery when he just edited out of the courtroom because they were like, so you're admitting you basically made a prison break of a wanted fugitive and stuff, and Wong is like, oh, I'm a ed out, that was.
That's literally the only line and scene in the film people remember and are talking about besides the post credit scene that everybody's bitching about.
And that's
The
funny.
episode was that forgettable. That was the most memorable shit.
And that's funny because, as I said, it's not because the line is clever, it's not because the line is funny, it's because of the actor. The actor is just priceless. He's just like, oh yeah, I'm a head out. Goodbye. I don't give a crap. So, man, it's so sad because it's a comedy. Like, I just want to laugh and smile. I want to have a better day, not feeling like
And
I'm
even if
trash.
the comedy wasn't that bad, which it is, but even if it wasn't that bad, what separates this from any other like MCU film? This is labeled as a comedy, and others aren't, but they're basically comedies because that's fucking every MCU film nowadays. So what separates this from actually being labeled as just a straight up comedy from other MCU films? And it's comedy style. Nothing, basically nothing.
And that's also very sad because they also
Yeah.
like they can.
Maybe they go a little more like again. Maybe they go a little more like PG-13 or whatnot with some jokes, but that's about it.
They could do great stuff, and I want them to do great stuff. I like the first 3 phases. I will actually re-watch most of the movies out there, and they were well done. But Phase 4, they just they hired people they should not hire there. It's like, you're my friend, you got the job. You're not qualified, but you're my friend, so you get the job. Like, I understand friendship, but at some extent, it's a big business and it's big money. I mean, that's the way it is, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So, I think, except if you would like to add more, I think we could move on to the grade you would give and the grade I would give, and like closing thought on that really bad show.
I mean, this is like a 3.
Okay, that makes sense. So it's actually a 4 for me, and as I said, Wong carried it over on his shoulders, and even there, he is the all the positive I had, and that first laugh I actually got was worth it. It was like, Wong, man, Wong, he's the greatest of all time, as we say. And now I'm really scared about Daredevil. When Matt Murdock will show up, I'm really worried about it.
Oh, and Jessica Jones cameo.
Jessica Jones is not that bad because tone wise, she can be funny. She doesn't give a crap. She is, like, I'm sure.
She's gonna carry that fucking scene. She's
Yeah.
in.
And I'm sure the writers, when she will get her own reboot, the writers won't do as good. I know it. But I think the actress owned the role, and the actress is great. And even if the writing and the show won't be as good as what we had with Netflix, I do think it will be worth watching because of the actress. Uh, but here again, that's my thought, and maybe, just maybe for once, they will think about like bringing some people that know what they are doing. I really wish that because it's sad. Like, we had 3 seasons, and I think overall that was somewhat of a good run, despite missteps in season 2. I think considering like some shows really drop the ball really hard and never get good or they become really bad, like obnoxious bad and awful. Like I think the 3 seasons we had with Netflix were kind of fine, even if sometimes the writing wasn't amazing. It was still watchable, you know.
Yeah, I completely agree. Like, even the bad moments just. But yeah, with this, I don't know. I mean, and maybe I'll up my score for this episode on like a later date. It's just like, even with the wand stuff, I just
No,
had no
three is
interest in this at
fine.
all.
I feel
I
like
just had no interest in this because I'm just tired of it. They
I
have to do something really different in episode. They said in the next episode, episode 4, they said that that's what the critics said is when it really picks up, though. So we'll see. I'm gonna watch episode 4 at my full strength, and they better be right. If they're wrong, then Jesus fuck.
and I feel like I'm too generous to give them a 4. And this is funny because at the pace they go, maybe by episode 9 I will finally give them a 6 out of 10 if they finally do something decent. But even there, overall, it's not watchable if one episode out of 9 reached the 6 out of 10 mark. You know, it's still very bad.
Yep.
So
Holy fuck. I just hope at least like 3 episodes are okay, maybe.
I don't have any hopes. I like if
Yeah,
they
no,
do
I think
good.
this is just going to be a bad show, guaranteed at this point.
It,
The next 5 episodes would have to be fucking great, and I don't see that happening.
if they do good, I will be glad because that part of our podcast will sound different for once, you know. But that's only if they do it. They are the one that should deliver the quality. They are the one in charge. They are the one making the show.
Oh
So
yeah, I really hope it's actually good. I'm getting like it's like on every other, even with each episode being bad, like Miss Marvel, or like some of them being bad or whatnot. Like we still had new things to say. With She-Hulk, it's the same shit every episode, so I'm already done with talk. So that's why we're saying the same shit on every podcast. I'm just done.
and that's funny because remember Miss Marvel, like I actually liked half of the episode and the other half wasn't great, but it was better. And even there, I didn't feel like I was repeating myself each week because there was always something to tell and something that felt new. Here, not really. It feels like we got filler. Like episode 3 felt like a filler. Like there's no story arc there. Maybe the Abomination, but I don't think we will see the Abomination later on. Maybe they're smarter than what I think they are, and they will bring back the Abomination, and the Abomination may end up being a villain, but then that would undermine the full third episode, and that would ruin the writing. So
Yeah, well, they said they don't give a fuck about the lawyer shit, so it wouldn't surprise me. But yeah, they shouldn't. I mean, a good episode. I thought when I saw like the ending of episode 2, what's a good thing they could have done. They still might, but what we saw in episode 3, I don't know. But is that yeah, he was set up in episode 2 at the end, but
yeah. So Dune. Except if you'd
yeah,
like
dude,
to
let's
add-
talk about something good.
yeah,
Yippee.
yeah. I agree. That was unique, I will say.
Yeah, I mean, so yeah, in the comments you saw, yeah, I'm sorry, you said that, yeah, you like the scenery and everything.
Yeah,
So yeah, now I knew yeah, you said you mainly like you don't like when it's like spends too much time on the characters, like just dragging on. You just
yeah.
want to get to the point with sci-fi and showing like the world building. So I'm like, okay, so you might like this, than it more than expected, but. A lot of people thought it was like slow and boring.
I will say
So
this:
I was
it's
50-50 on this.
it's much better than the novel. I
Oh,
tapped.
you like it better than the novel?
Yeah, the novel I tapped out page 80-ish, and I really wanted to try hard. I was like, I want to see the movie, but I want to know the lore and read the novel, but I just can't. There's too much lore for me, and I tapped out of the novel. But then when you came up with the movie, I'm like, I will actually try the movie out. Maybe the movie is better, and I actually enjoyed much more the movie, because the movie
Yeah.
I was invested enough to finish it. In the book,
I did like the novel as well, but I do there are well, the Dune novel is a classic, and it's something that it's like one of the first sci-fi novels. Like there are like thousands and millions of stories and films that take inspiration from Dune. Sort of like H.P. Lovecraft type stories with horror. Despite that, though, there are issues with it. Just like some of Tolkien's books, like The Hobbit and stuff. There are issues with it and stuff, and unnecessary what do you call it, exposition that it doesn't totally need. So,
yeah,
and I think the film here did a good job with that for the most part. One of the biggest problems I have with this is, again, you might disagree because you said you didn't like when it spends too much time just on the characters and stuff like that, and in films like this. So I'm like, okay, and that was like one of my biggest issues. So I'm like, okay, so maybe you'll like it a lot more then. But I thought they should have spent a bit more time before like the big fight and everything that happened in the second half of the film. I feel like the characters and everything in the houses, they needed like 40 more minutes of exposition and like info to get to know them more and like build the clans up, the factions up more. I feel like that was kind of missing. Like this was like a theatrical cut, and there's a director's cut, which is all that exposition because it was really lacking there, in my opinion, and to like care a bit about some of the characters. And there's this one moment in the book, like the dinner party scene, that is very crucial to that in the
yeah,
book. To go through all the characters and the factions and to get to know them and
yeah.
understand them and care about them, and that didn't happen in the film. And I feel like they should have at least added the dinner party scene. I think that was very crucial. And another big thing I had with it was let's take something like, I don't know if you've seen the Lord of the Rings films, have you?
Yes, it's been a while. I was
Yeah,
very
well,
young
all
when I was.
three, yeah.
I'm
And maybe we'll
26.
rewatch them. Who knows?
I will rewatch them for sure. The
Yeah, but
future.
in my opinion, I absolutely love them. And the thing is with the three Lord of the Rings films, each of them feel like their own film and feel like they have even though it's obviously a trilogy and it's a connecting story, the first or second, like we know that next one's coming and the story is incomplete. By the
Yeah,
time each one ends, it feels like its own complete film with its own complete ending still, with how it's structured and the pacing and everything.
yeah,
Didn't get that in Dune though. The way Dune ended and everything, it just felt like there was still a lot more to see. It really just ended abruptly, and
yeah.
it really felt like a part one instead of just like its own amazing like thing that doesn't need to rely on like a second and a third part to come out yet, like the Lord of the Rings films did.
I
Yeah,
fully
and
agree with you on that. Now, that's part of my few issues I had here and there. Now, I can start off with my few issues as usual and then keep going with the positive and the stuff I like. So, at some point, they do a lot of exposition and they say instead of showing. And when I say this, when I have this in my issues, it's because I feel like they could have made that great scene or sequence or moment of backstory. Now, I cannot really remember when exactly, but that's my first issue, so that's probably early in the movie. Usually it's early in the movie. Um, as I said, I can't really remember when. I feel like they should have shown us instead of telling us what happened and what's going on with that, And it's not the only show or movie, I should say, that do that, but each time they do that, and I notice, and I'm like, what if they shot something about it? Well, it's an issue for me because it's a movie. I like to have something visual to follow what is said. Now, exposition is cool if there's nothing really interesting to show. But if there's something interesting to show, just show me, man. Don't tell me, you know. That's just me here. Maybe I nitpick too much.
You mean like Jason Momoa character talking about the stories? You rather like if they showed
Yeah,
flashbacks, his perspective.
yeah, exactly.
I never really thought about that, but I can understand that point.
Now, my second issue, and that issue came back many times because I thought the movie was very long. The pacing was really rough for me. Everything was really slow, and I was like, uh, they, I know they really tried to give something visually good, and they really want to care for all these characters, but there are so many characters. I didn't really care about pretty much everyone outside of Paul and his mother. They're oh, and the guy that died at the end, that died a hero by killing a lot of people. I forgot his name. I think it was Dungan or something.
Yeah, I mean, it was like, oh, you mean like Duncan or something?
Yeah, or the teacher. The teacher was also fine. Like these are like the top characters for me, and the teacher, it's not even.
It's like Oscar Isaac character got such little backstory. Like I did not care about him.
Yeah, and the teacher, actually, I didn't care about him that much because of the movie. I cared about him because of the book, and that's weird because, as I said, I tapped out after like 80 page. So I'm like, that teacher is kind of cool, but I don't think the movie sold me the teacher. I think it's the book that sold me the teacher, you know? So I'm like, that's weird. So,
I mean, did you like the two villains character, Dave Bautista and like, I forgot his name, like Skarsgård. I forgot his first name, but
the actor were good, but I didn't care about them. I was like, these villains are not really great. Like the
I
actors,
thought they were like kind of cool. Like again, I like the lines that Skarsgård gave. And the older one, you know, I
the
really liked that. The line delivery, I thought it was really cool. But that's another thing that it was a bit of a letdown from the book is that again there were issues with the book, and again to for the director Denis Villeneuve to like get a lot of these ideas from his mind and put them on screen like this is fantastic. But villains, the two villains, Dave Bautista and Skarsgård, even though they tried their best to be intimidating and it worked at points and stuff, the script and what they had them do. At least in the first part, maybe they'll make them way more villain-like and intimidating than the second. But
yeah,
it's just like it in comparison to like what the original film attempt that David Lynch did with the villains in his film, his solo film with David Lynch, Lynch's Dune, and what the
yeah.
book did with them. Like this is like child's play. Honestly, it was a
Yeah,
bit disappointing.
I think the villain ad presents because of the actor and not the writing, and
Exactly.
I can say that for many villain and many things, and it's a bit sad because they're well casted, but the writing is not that great. It's just the actor that bring that thing you need to be hooked. So
Yeah, yeah, and the pacing and the editing again, like like this is the one thing I mean, again, you thought it was too long and slow, and the pacing in that way. Me
yeah,
personally, since I've watched a lot of slow and long films, so I'm used to it personally. So I was cool with it. I wanted it like longer and stuff, and more backstory on the characters. But the pacing was poor though. They had some scenes go on for so long, but then like the whole battle and everything, and like the build up went by so fast. It was such poor pacing with the
yeah,
editing. The
yeah,
editing was not that. I do not editing. They really should have gotten a different edit. Like the edits, like it isn't bad on like in a filmmaking standpoint with the edits. Like it's not like Bohemian Rhapsody with like that just ruins what I'm seeing, or like a fucking Michael Bay film, but just it's just like it makes it the pace and the feel of the film just off. I feel like they should have got someone else, but it was still good. It's just it wasn't great. I think a film like this definitely needs a great editor. That's very important for films like this. Yeah, for some another character, fucking, I don't think she was bad. I thought she was competent, solid for the minor role in this film, and we'll see how she does. I mean, obviously in the next one, but I still do not understand why people think Zendaya is a good actress. I really do not.
She is not. She plays herself.
She's she's just yes, and it's the same like fucking just quirky attitude and voice in every role. It's literally the same, playing the same character in each one. Literally the same things she does in each role.
They say that
Yeah,
because she's pretty in her own way, you know. She has that charm. That's not because she's really skilled. She has
that's just
charisma.
she's just trendy and
Yeah.
Spider-Man and did that fucking Euphoria shit and has a unique name, look, and started her career uniquely. So that's why it got popular like fucking Ariana Grande. That's I do not
Yeah.
just do not get it. Whatever. It's like maybe in the second film she'll surprise me, but yeah, she was competent. Sort of like again, she's just competent. She was not great though. I did not care about her character. Just played herself again. Wasn't anything special. It's just I do not understand why people think she's good, but whatever.
Yeah. Now another issue. The character feel most of them feel underwhelming. I'm like, there's that many character, but I just don't care about them. You know, it's just very sad to have that talented cast of people and not caring for any of them. And there are so many of them. I'm like, how can you cram
hmm
that many character there and expect us to care for them? It's sad. It's a bit sad here. Um, Now, there's another character that felt like a plot device. The guy that betrayed Paul Father and that basically helped the villain because the villain owed the wife hostage. I'm like,
Well, basically the point. Well, here's the thing. His objective was this: that they were taken. Or they were gonna like they started the fight anyway. They were flanking them, so they would have like done that and captured Oscar Isaac's character anyway.
yeah,
So at least what he did though was he did three things. One, he made sure that his son and wife was potentially safe,
yeah,
and it would be harder to like track and find them. Two, he gave him that tooth to like then try to kill them.
yeah,
And three, again, that was all gonna happen and go down anyway without their knowledge, and Oscar Isaac was gonna at least die. So at least he gave him the possibility of like, maybe I can rescue my wife. But yeah, so I got what he's doing there. It's just like I think the film again with the film how it was edited and stuff. I think it did a poor job like understanding like the message, but I mean, it made like that guy who quote unquote betrayed them look like an idiot. Like you really expected him to give you a wife. It's obvious he would just stab you. Like you could join her now.
yeah, yeah,
But I think if you saw like in the performance in that guy, he kind of knew there was a great possibility of that. But he just he had he was trapped in the corner. The guy would have killed him anyway soon anyway. So he was just
yeah.
like, it just on the slim chance. Let's hope. Yeah. I mean, what did you think about him?
About who the plot device?
Yeah, the plot device.
The plot device. Well, all the actors are fine. I think it's really the character. I'm like, I've already seen that kind of storyline where someone does something he doesn't want to because his loved one are threatened. I think it's lazy.
It is a bit lazy.
It,
I don't know if it was it in the book though.
yeah, even if it's in the book. I mean, even if it's in the book, try to craft something more interesting. Now, even if it's in
I
the book,
agree. They could have crafted something
I
more interesting. I
I
will say though, they didn't. I don't think they used it as a plot device because again, it
yeah.
would have went down everything that did. So I wouldn't say it was like a plot device, though. I'll say.
Yeah, but like even if like I respect the respect they had for the books, and that's kind of cool. But if we criticize the movie for that, we also need to criticize the book for it. Now, as I
Mm-hmm.
said, I only read 80 pages about it, so that's why I'm half blank about it. Um. Now, another thing, another issue I marked down: plot convenience, plot armor. So this is by the end, like that final, that third act. I think the third act wasn't really needed. I think at 1 hour 48, when they thought they killed Paul, that could be one ending. Or a second ending that could happen is just before the siege in the desert. By the end, like the villain is just brought back to life, and he's like, search for them. You could end the movie there. And the plot convenience, plot armor, it's basically Paul and his mother both surviving the crash, and I think it's a lot of things they wanted that to happen. That plane happened to be at the right place, and that plane happened to fly, and then that plane happened to crash and not kill them. I'm like, yeah, even if it's in the book, like as I said, I respect the fact that they respect the book, but the book has some issues here and there if they survive that kind of crash. That's one of my issue. And yeah, even if I liked Dungan's sacrifice, I feel like that could have been in a second movie when we know more about Dungan. And if the book didn't really crafted Duncan, you could add more, like more topping to make it more interesting. And I think that entire third act, right when they basically attack the hideout, should be the start of a second movie. It doesn't feel like the ending of one. That feels like the start of a new adventure.
Mm-hmm.
So because of that, I'm like, really, like the I almost tapped out, to be honest. I was like, I will keep watching because I know what they're trying to do, and I know they planned the sequel, and it wasn't bad enough for me to really tap out. But I'm like, I don't like what they're doing. I just don't like that last act. It's sad because the movie had so much to offer. To be honest, even if I have a lot of issues, I still feel like it was an enjoyable movie. Now, anything else you'd like to add before I move on to all the things I liked? Because there's a lot of things I liked.
I know that's about it for like my flaws with it. Like overall, yeah, those are my flaws. Didn't have as many as like multi-topic, and because I'm used to like the slow pace and stuff like that in films. But yeah, just mainly those things as I listed, and I also just feeling like really like a part one instead of like its own completed film like each Lord of the Rings film did, and
Exactly.
I just don't think, while an excellent film for sure and excellently made, I don't think it's like masterfully crafted as like other films. Like for example, a lot of people like praise the cinematography, which is amazing. We'll get into, but like Oscar winning and Best of the Year, I mean, I do think there were definitely a few better films with better cinematography. I do think it's just because it's the most popular film that came out that year that was award worthy at those award shows, and it's big budget, and it used all those techniques, new techniques for its filmmaking, and that's why everybody praised it so much. But I think there are definitely like better in those areas. Like for the example, The Green Knight. I don't know if you ever heard of that film or saw it, but yeah, I definitely think the cinematography in that was way better. Probably my favorite film last year. But
I did
anyway,
not see it.
that's about it though. Yeah, I mean, I don't think you would like it. It's very like slow and just like metaphoric or whatever.
Yeah.
It's just but anyway, that's about it. Positives, yeah, this is an excellent film. I really loved it still. Yeah, I didn't like it as much as his other sci-fi film, Blade Runner 2047 or 2049 or
Yeah.
whatever. I did like, which you'll see eventually, but I don't know if that will be your type of thing. We'll see when you
Yeah.
watch the original Blade Runner and that one later on. But yeah, but I still thought it was excellent, and despite all the issues, I still love its craft. I still, stat cast still, of good actors,
Ye-
and yeah, it's yeah, great job.
that's funny because before I move on with what I liked, I watched at this list of movies and I see Incendie. And this is funny because I know there's a book with the same name, and this is basically the same story. And I also know there's a theater, like the theater, not movies, like theater, like with actor on stage. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Uh, so I say that because I have either read it, seen it on stage or on movie. I actually forgot the format. I've seen that work there. I've actually forgot, but I when I read that, I'm like, I've seen it or I read it.
Yeah, it is based on the book in 2003. If you're talking about Incendies,
Yeah,
zombies, yeah.
in English this means inferno, and this is very
Hmm.
interesting. Anyway, that was just my tangent. When I see that, I'm like, I don't know if it's the movie or on stage. I've seen that because at school we did study either the movie, the book, or the on stage representation, the show. I
Yeah,
forgot
there
which
there
one is
was
the
yeah
true.
there was a play and there was a book, and I believe you're talking about the same one. Yeah, I
Yeah,
believe you did. And again, this the guy's French Canadian, so
yeah,
and you said like one of his smaller budget films was
yeah,
a shoot-in or something that you knew about. So
yeah.
yeah, I'm sure it was.
That's the one. Now that
Hey,
clicked. That clicked.
it's coming full circle. Yeah.
Yeah. So now I like the lore of Dune. That was good lore, and the way they present the lore in the movie is much more entertaining and interesting than the book because it's well placed in dialogue. It's well placed in shots with scenes and stuff, and I liked it. It has some flow. Like, even if I had pacing issue, I do think the way they gave us the lore was good. When I speak about pacing, most of the time it's just scenes I feel like they could trim it down. It's just dialogue I feel they could have caught here and there. But overall, I think it flows well and it was very interesting. The main character, Paul, was very likable. In the book as well, he was very likable, so I think they did a good adaptation of it, and I was on board.
I definitely agree with you with the lore. Like as much as I criticize some things, like I do think the characters needed more background. I would have liked more time on that. Like lore, they definitely get a good job like cutting it down and like saying it well and in like good positions, not just planned exposition just dumped onto you. Like it made
Yeah,
sense. Everything. Like honestly, I was more like this. The only thing I was disappointed about was like that. I wish there was like more lore in this universe, like more creatures and stuff. Because
yeah.
yeah, that's
And
yeah. So as you're saying, yeah, with a character.
the training sequence at the start of the movie was cool. I liked it. So they show you the character growing and training, just like in the book. He was training in the book as well. So he's not a Mary Sue because he needs some training to own his skills and become a warrior. And this is good because I feel like in media, in movies and books, sometimes they just want their character to be from point A to point B and they don't want to do the work in between. They just say, okay, he's just that strong. So when I see
Yeah,
character
he definitely
training,
isn't a Mary Sue because yeah, he definitely needs more training. Again, like
yeah,
the mind voice thing, whatever. I forgot what was that called, but yeah, he's definitely not good with that yet either. And they talked about how like all the other people with those powers were female, and male's a lot weaker. So
Yeah.
in that universe there in that world with the powers. So yeah, and then obviously he doesn't, everything that was learned from like the books and stuff isn't completely like is not everything or completely accurate like 100%. To like what how it actually is there.
Yeah. And here, like, the Needle scene was kind of cool, and Paul Mother wasn't a great character, but she served her purpose well. And I think the actress did her job. So even if the character in itself is not that amazing, I think she's needed, and she filled her role well. And I like that aspect of it. Like, I won't say the mother is amazing. No, she's not.
Yeah,
But
I mean, yeah, she's definitely isn't it. She was probably like one of the, just based off of just pure acting, she was probably one of the weakest in the cast. Which,
yeah,
yeah, I did like her in like other stuff like Mission Impossible. I do think she was like, a lot of people hated her, but I actually kind of liked her in Doctor Sleep. But yeah, but she's definitely one of the weakest parts. But with her character and everything, it was good.
she does the job. And the villain, I said they were not great, but I do mention the villain in my likes. So as I said earlier, I think the villain, even if they're not the best villain ever, the presentation of them, like the actor playing the role, like they play their role and they really make you feel fear through these villain. And
Yeah, really, the only critique with the villain, again, the main critiques I have with the villain of why I think so, and maybe you do, is just, again, I really think they could have been more ruthless. Like
yeah,
the active characters are. It's like really, it's like compliments to the chef. That cliche villain line. That's the best you could come up with this guy. Like you realize how ruthless this guy actually is in the book. It's like but whatever. But also, I'll be honest, it being like PG or PG-13 didn't help either. We have to remember
yeah,
that.
yeah.
If only rating system didn't have to be so fucked. Whatever.
Yeah, I think the music throughout the movie was also good. I like the score, I like the music. It's well chosen, I think, and it added something more to the movie. And I'm
Oh
like,
yeah, the music was excellent. Like
I'm
once
watching
again,
the movie.
just like every other aspect in the entire film, I didn't think it was like best of the year from other stuff I've seen in other films, but yeah, it was excellent. They're just fantastic, no complaints. Now, the only issue I had with the music is I I also take into consideration how you use the music in scenes in the film, not
Yeah,
just the music on its own. And like for example, fucking how if there's like a sad moment and you play like just sappy music over top of it, that kind of just ruins it, is manipulative,
yeah.
manipulatively used and kind of ruins the scene. And especially and like how Joker used its music, I did not like at all. And
I
they
actually
were
liked it a lot. I liked Joker a
uh,
lot.
well, no, the music. Yeah, I like Joker. I didn't love the film, but the music. I mean, I think the music was a bit forgettable, but great. But I thought how it was used in scenes I did not like really. But
I
oh,
see
in
where you
Dune,
are
no, and
coming
that's
from.
yeah, but that's the thing with Dune. There were a couple scenes in it, mainly like when that one girl got like stabbed by the guy, and then the earthworm came and ate them. Like how that the music was used right there. The thought was pretty manipulative and.
I didn't care
Uh,
about that. When she was eaten by the worm, I was like, okay, I barely knew the character. I didn't care for
yeah,
that character, so I
I
was
was
like,
just like, this is like how the music they used right there once the guy stabbed her. It's just like that was kind of manipulatively used. The music, the score, that's not really appropriate. It's just like I hate when movies just do that stuff instead of just letting scenes be without the music. It's a lot better. So that's the only issue I had really with the music. Mainly, other than that, yeah, it was great for sure.
that's funny because that movie is not a comedy, but yet it was funny at moments, and I'm
Yeah,
like,
like the spit scene.
yeah, I'm like, yo, man, fire Sheol Chrysler and bring Denis Villeneuve there.
hmm Again, this movie got like 12 Oscar nominees last year. or well, technically this year was in like March or whatnot, the Oscars.
Yeah, and
He made this entire film. All right, he's the one that brought it all together. The director. He's like the biggest reason for it. Biggest reason. Not all the other technical aspects, right? He's like the biggest reason, putting the film together. It got 12 Oscar nominees. 12. So
wow.
obviously the director gets an Oscar nominee as well. That would make literally 0 sense. Nope, he didn't get one. And yeah, that literally people complained about that for fucking months. How do you give a film 12 nominees and then snub the director who created that film that got 12 nominees?
Because he's Canadian and French Canadian, I should say. That's the reason. But
Yeah,
hey, I won't go
I
too
mean
deep
he
into
did
that.
get a nominee for directing in like Arrival, I think.
Yeah.
That's about it. Though his others are just been for like screenplay and other aspects so far, sadly.
So the military felt like a military, and that's kind of cool because I'm really watching a movie that's made by competent people and with good direction because they tell their actor what to do and their actor are on the line and it's well shown and I'm like, wow, that's cool. The military feel like military. I really enter their world and their universe is rich, I think. And the fight choreography was also kind of cool. Now, Duncan dying, great. I liked his fight a lot, even if I said I feel like that should have been the start of a sequel. I still enjoyed that sequence where he fights everyone and until he die he will fight. That was great. That's one of my favorite moments, even if I feel like it should be part of a sequel. And it's really
Yeah.
sad. It's
Yeah.
really
So
sad.
I believe there was one character I believe that we didn't who's still alive off camera that I think at least yeah, he didn't die. I forgot which actor it was, but the guy who like on the let me just search up the Mooncast and then I'll remember. Um, it was, let's see. Okay, yeah, Josh Brolin. I believe he's like still alive, isn't he?
I don't know.
Yeah,
I
because
don't know.
they didn't show him die, so he might
Yeah.
be still alive.
So, I will also say that when it was a full on war, I liked it a lot because it felt earned and it was well shown and well executed, well written. It was cool. I liked
Again, the
war.
only issue I have with it is that I just thought it like how it all played out was a bit too fast, and I also just for me personally and the scenes they showed like before that faction was getting ready to flank them in battle.
Yeah,
Again, I thought the edit in there was pretty poor, and I
yeah,
also would have liked to know more about that faction. And then bombs they dropped, I did think some of the CGI there, they could have added, a bit more to that, maybe a bit more flavor, but that's about it. Yeah, that's what a lot of people. There's a lot of fucking idiots on complaining about this film online. Like, oh, this film is just so orange and brown. Oh my god, there's so much sand. It's like, yeah, it's a sand planet. What do you expect?
and I think the fact that it was a desert and it's also even if it's sci-fi, it made sense for most of it, and it was cool because sometimes when they're like it's sci-fi, we don't give a crap and we just throw stuff hoping it will stick on the wall. But here, the guy really thought about what if we had a desert on Earth, but instead of being on Earth, it's on Dune, you know? So that's a good thing because I think sci-fi sometimes they have too much freedom or they think they have too much freedom and they make choices that are weird and they're like, oh, it's just our own lore just because it looks cool. It's not smart, it's just cool. It's not the case here, and I'm glad.
Hmm. Especially that horrible fucking M Night Will Smith film. What was it? After Earth. Holy fuck.
So, with everything being said, closing thoughts before we give our notes to the movie, our grades.
Uh, closing thoughts. Let's see. Um, that's about it. I mean, there's any more like positives or flaws?
Yeah,
Yeah, right. There were like so yeah, the CGI was obviously fantastic. I mean,
yeah,
obviously with that budget and everything in the detail, there were only like a couple moments where it's like the CGI looked a little at points, and one of those points I will say is that one vision he was having in that tent. You know, when he had that allergic reaction again, and he was having, seeing the quote unquote future possibly.
yeah,
Um, when he was like, I did think some of the CGI there, like when those people in the suits were fighting, they showed that shot, and also when his face was like kind of horribly CGI'd into like the with the helmet there, kind of, and yeah, I thought that was like poor CGI, but that's
yeah,
about it. And yeah, some people were like, saw some people I usually agree with like my opinion, like criticize the design of like the planes or whatever, the helicopter type things, and I really didn't understand that. Like that's pretty accurate, and they it did it pretty damn well. I don't know what more you wanted, but uh, yeah, but that's about it.
yeah,
Excellent film. Yeah, it does a lot. It does the lore great. I wanted a bit more backstory of the characters, a bit more info there, and a bit better like pacing with the editing and some other nitpicks here and there. But and I don't think it's like a masterpiece or anything like a lot of hardcore fans do. I do think like there are definitely like better
yeah,
films in each aspect that year, but for the most part, yeah, excellent. My rating for it, I'm gonna give it an 8 out of 10, and it could go up or down from here depending on
the sequel.
how yeah, depending on the sequel and part three, because again, unlike stuff like Lord of the Rings, this it really feels like a part one film and it ends abruptly. It's just
I,
I
as we said, they should have ended like 13 minutes earlier to make more sense because some scene by the third act felt more like the start of a new movie. So,
yeah.
uh, I agree with a lot of things you said. My own rating would be 7.5 out of 10. Usually I stick to my rating. Now, I based myself on the pacing and how much did I enjoyed it and the true value of it, and like I look back and like I liked much more Nope and I liked much more Hereditary, so I'm like, okay, Dune 7.5 seems right with the few flaws I found and all the good points. And that's funny because there are much more good points and positive about this movie than negative than, let's say, Nope or Hereditary. Uh, the biggest reason why I liked so much Nope and Hereditary, it was really hard for me to pinpoint issues. Here I was more able to pinpoint issues, but I also had more stuff to enjoy. So 7.5, I think it's a fair rating for me uh,
Yeah.
for this one.
That
So
that's more than fair, definitely.
uh, now, except if you'd like to add something else, we move on to Stargirl third season.
Oh, let's just move on to Stargirl. Okay, so what did you think of the episode?
Man, okay, I will start off by saying I had no issue nowhere, and I don't know if I'm biased or if I just didn't found any issue. That episode for me was amazing, and I think it was one of my favorites so far. I think it's easily like in my top three episodes if we have both season one and two together. That episode was a great start, and they really wanted to give us the character, and they're like, that's the characters, and that's kind of their character arc, like the villain teaming up with the good guys, you know? And I
Hmm.
like that aspect of it because I feel like they will give new stuff to the cast. Even the gambler felt different. The gambler
Yeah.
was interesting, and I will be honest, the gambler was a weak part of season one. It was part of the League of Villain. The League as a whole was cool. I liked the League a lot. The League are much more interesting than most villain on TV, but the gambler wasn't the reason why the league was so good. It's Icicle, it's Brainwave, it's Sportmaster. They all outshine Gambler. Gambler is just the guy on the PC, you know? And here you care for him, and you're like, is he really trying to redeem himself? And that was very interesting. I was like, he's actually trying and he wants to prove himself, and that was very interesting. And you're like, maybe he's doing some kind of investigation there, that's why he's back, but he won't say to people because he doesn't trust anybody, because nobody trusts him, you know. And by also showing small things, they tell us he has changed. In season one, he was throwing his garbage all over the place, and even Sportmaster and Tigress were like in the football match. They were like, "Pick up your trash, Gambler," and Gambler was like, "Oh, blah, 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 blah." But now he picks up other people's trash.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with you definitely. Uh, I
and
have my concerns so far. They're doing the best job so far. Hopefully this keeps up. But
and
yeah,
Cindy really try her best to win over corny friendship, and Yolanda and Rick, they really hate her, and I can understand where they are coming from, but I'm like, is it really fair? Like, they're teenagers, so it's normal. It's not really an issue, but it's still like, it raised the question, like, what if they are the issue? What if they create some kind of division in the team in the future of this season because of this crap there, this situation where they don't want to like give a second chance to Cindy that really want to try her best, and you can tell Cindy's trying, and Cindy is not the same as season 1 and 2. Season 2 she wanted to use people. In season 3 she doesn't feel like she want to use people. She feel like she want to win the friendship, not to benefit from it, but to have friends. Do you know what I mean?
yeah, I know what you mean, and yeah, I agree. I I hopefully don't fuck it up, but
Yeah, and that feels earned because I think it's due to Courtney saving her in season 2. And this is what I like so much with Stargirl. They season are building blocks, and they build upon one another, and it's well built up, you know. And some show they're like, oh, season 1 stuff, we forget about it, we don't give a crap, we just move on with our lives and our story. But here it feels like each season is a building block, and if you miss one floor, you won't be able to enjoy fully the entire building, you know.
yeah, I agree.
So
For me, yeah, I didn't love it to like like a masterpiece level, but yeah, there weren't like any flaws I had with this. It was flawless this episode. To be fair, I mean when you do like a first episode like this, just like reintroducing and stuff and setting it up again, like now it's a lot easier like pull off and not have any flaws. But yeah, but yeah, I really enjoyed it. This is probably like top at least like top 5 episode. Because
yeah,
the thing I just really liked all the characters' dynamics in this one.
yeah,
That was the main thing.
and I feel like the few episodes I have in mind that may be better is the episode where Henry died in season 1, and the episode where Joey died in season 1 as well. These are like the only 2 episodes I think about, and I'm like, it's really hard to say which one is the best, because you see, in the Joey event, it's because of Courtney being impulsive and just rushing through things, Joey dies. So that made up the episode so amazing, and the character flaw are really shown, you know? And this is interesting there. And Here, I feel like they show some cracks, not in the storytelling, but in Courtney character. She tried to please everyone, but she can't. It's impossible to please everyone. And this is very interesting because in the future that may create some interesting drama if they are smart about it. But it can go wrong fast if they don't know how to write that kind of drama, you know?
Hmm.
And the shade Shade and Gambler scene was amazing. The shade. The shade.
Oh
The
yeah.
shade.
Wait. Which scene are you referring to
In the
again?
dinner. When
Oh yeah,
Gambler
that was my favorite scene. Just his attitude.
Gambler was
Holy fuck.
Gambler was trying to convince Shady he's a good guy, and Shady is like, I don't trust you, motherfucker. Go away
Sorry
now.
for draining your bank account. I hope you find a good tea.
I really enjoyed that scene. Shade was my favorite part of season 2, as I've said many times. Shade was great. He's the reason why I like so much season 2, and I'm glad he is back. And I cannot wait to see what they will be doing with the Shade, you know? And Artemis was so funny. And her parents, man, the Crocs they are funny. They are funny. Don't try to make sense. Oh, they are not in jail right now. But if you disregard that and you just suspend disbelief, just enjoy the Crocs, man.
Yeah.
So,
I'm trying to remember. Okay, so who do you think killed the guy at the end? I want to know.
I think it's too soon, but there's many theories I've seen and many theories I think about. Now I will speak about Sylvester. You know, he was a jerk in season 1. The only scene we had with him was a freaking jerk.
Mm-hmm.
And now this season, like in season 2, we find out he killed people while he was on board with killing people, and he was a jerk in season 2. He was treating Pat like shit. And in season 3, he is manipulative. He doesn't feel like the hero. I feel like he's more of an anti-hero right now because he clearly sees that Courtney likes the staff, but he wants the staff for himself. And he's also a freaking liar. Now, maybe
Mm-hmm.
I forgot something, or maybe I misunderstood something, but if I remember correctly, in season 1, Pat was basically telling Courtney, look, Sylvester has kids, but you're not the kids. So he has a family of his own, and you're not his family. He said that. I think I remember. Do you remember something in these lines? Because, like, she really wanted...
Sorry, can you repeat it again? What did they say exactly about family?
So, Courtney was like, Starman is my father, and this is before her true father show up. She's like, Sylvester is my father, and then Pat is like, most of the JSA have kids, Sylvester has kids, but you're not his kids. They said, I forgot how they spelled it and how they said it, but that's what I understood from their exchange. Pat was sure Courtney wasn't Sylvester kids, but he had kids.
Mm-hmm.
Does this reminds you of something? Maybe I'm crazy, or
Does sort of. Maybe
Uh,
it like leads to something they're setting up like that, involving that.
yeah, because here in one scene, Courtney and Sylvester speak, and Courtney realizes she realized that Sylvester is probably like her biological father, a jerk that just want something from her, and she tried to bargain like some kind of you have the staff during the day and I have the staff during the night, and Sylvester is like, being Starman was all I had. I didn't have any family, and you're like, when he was speaking like that, that kind of clashed because I was like, wait a second, did they do a retcon? Did they erase something they previously established in season 1 when Pat and Courtney were speaking about Sylvester having a family? Now, of course, later on, we get a scene where Pat and Sylvester are chilling, and Sylvester say, Pat, you have chance to become a GSA member. You're one of us now. He treats Pat like he's equal. But then later on, Sylvester and Pat speak again on the balcony, and Pat is like, wait, is he lying to me? Because when they speak on the balcony, Sylvester speaks again like Pat was his sidekick. And do you know where I'm getting at with Sylvester right now?
Yeah, yeah, I get what you're.
I think
Know what you're
Sylvester's
getting
a
at.
jerk.
Yeah,
But
but yeah, I agree, kind of. But
it's a well-written jerk. Let's be honest here. It's a well-written
yeah,
jerk.
sort of like I'm trying to think of that one example. Like I forgot in my head, but there's like many favorite TV shows has those characters where like they're fucking complete jerks, but you love them because of how they're written.
The boys, or
Yeah, that exactly. Boys,
yeah.
that's the one I was thinking of.
Yeah, Starman, man. Okay, now, who killed Gambler? I guess that's the person that owns the cameras. But was that person Mr. Bones? Because I've heard Mr. Bones coming up a lot, and apparently was the one teased at the end of season 2. Or it may be Sylvester, because Sylvester is a jerk, and we know he killed the kid before to try to kill Eclipso. So these are like my top suspect for now. I know Cindy didn't do it because there would be no mystery if she did, and
Yeah,
that would
like that would be stupid, but
and that will undermine the kind of character arc she's going through with this season,
yeah.
trying to
It's
prove
obviously they
herself.
set that up to make them, to make it harder for her to gain their trust.
Yeah, and maybe it's the Crocs because they will like help out their daughter to discover it, so she can like buy her place among the new Jesse. There's so many theories right now. I think it's too soon to know. It cannot be on our face. It's not Sylvester. Maybe it's Mr. Bone, but if it's Mr. Bone, it's anticlimactic because we all expect it, you know? I think right now, we don't know. There's no way we know. If we know, it's sad, you know?
Yeah.
What do you think
Hopefully we'll
about that?
know.
What do you think about that?
Up. I just hope whoever does it is defeated. Because yeah, I really felt bad for him actually, but
He's trying to redeem himself, and he's murdered.
yeah, sucks.
I think this was a great premiere, and that felt so good to watch that. After watching She-Hulk, I watched She-Hulk. I was like, Stargirl, come to me, please. I want to see your show. And then the show came in, and I'm like, oh, that feels so good. This is funny because Stargirl is not trying hard to be funny, and they were funny. And I think they brought back some kind of season 1 vibe. It's much more light-hearted than season 1. I can tell, season 2. I can tell already they changed the tone, and I'm fine with it. I like the darker tone of
Yeah.
season 2, but if they maintain a dark tone, at some point they will lose Stargirl identity, I think.
Oh, it's good to like separate the two, kind of like that. That's what they did do a
Yeah.
bit of. Again, I don't know if you like. I mean, you obviously weren't a huge fan of season 2 and season 3 of it, but they did do that in The Boys. They did change the
Yeah,
tone after going really dark, and then go more easy on it. Kept
yeah.
going back and forth with it. That's what a lot of shows do, and it's good. It's never too good to just have one thing like that all the time.
It feels fresh, and I'm really excited to see what happened next. Like, the GSA meeting, like, Beth is kind of cool because she's like on Courtney's side, you know? She's like, I'm with Courtney, you know? You want Cindy in? I want Cindy in. And Rick and Yolanda are obviously they're very similar, but now I'm a bit worried about Yolanda and Rick. I don't want them on a relationship, and here's the why. Their relationship, if they have any, may take over their storyline and they may erase both character, you know? That's what
That
happened
is
in
that is true,
relationship.
actually.
So
Yeah.
I'm worried about that. I'm like, don't do that on me, please. Don't. You're better than this, Sergeant. So, um, it's looking promising. I really hope they don't mess that one up, you know, because that's a great start. And in my notes, I
Mhm.
got sad backstory. I guess that's like Sylvester trying to convince Stargirl the being superhero was the only thing he had. I guess that was it. So, what would be the grade you would give?
The grade, I'd probably give this. I mean, okay, I'm gonna give it an 8.5 for now. But if the rest of the season lives up, I'm gonna change it to a 9 because I think it. Well, I did love it. It's like a top 5 or top 10 episode.
Yeah,
Again, it's easier for premiere episodes like that are just like reintroducing everyone and where they're at. Do well and be a feel good episode. So I'm gonna give it an 8.5 because of that. But if it isn't just a one trick episode for that reason, or like with the first few episodes, and the whole season lives up to this potential, then I'm gonna change my rating for episode 1 to a 9.
yeah.
But yeah,
That's interesting. I also liked in my notes the mothers when they were speaking. Artemis mother and Barbara. That was that was great. That was great. I mean, the Crocs, man,
yeah.
they they are just great. I want him I want them to get their shot. You know, I'm like
hmm
that's cool. I want them to succeed. You know, you want to root for
I
them.
agree. I just love how it's like. I just love the intro. It's like, "Hello, neighbor." It's like Jesus fuck.
And Artemis, man, and that's funny because Artemis is a teenager girl, and they
hmm
make it believable with the fight choreography. She's able to beat down these thugs, and that's cool because that means you got competent people working on fight choreography, and they are much better than Marvel because she doesn't like lift people and flip them around. She make them fall. Like she attack weak point. You know, she does some karate stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree.
Like
Actually believable.
yeah, and that's part of the charm. And Artemis was just fire. She was like score, like it was a football game or something.
hmm
Anyway, I think I would give 10 out of 10 for that episode because, as I said, I didn't find any issue, and this is one of my favorite. It's in my top 3 episode, and maybe it's actually my favorite so far, or maybe
Um.
it's like equal to the other two I mentioned. The episode where Henry dies and the episode where Joey dies. These are like my favorite
hmm
episodes so far. Like, what's funny about season one? That was my least favorite season. Even if I liked it a lot, that was a masterpiece for me. Season two was better for me. Um, season one had the best episode in it. but season 2 as a whole was just a level up version of it. And I'm really looking forward to see Sylvester and Courtney training. That will be very interesting. I really hope Sylvester doesn't end up to be just like a jerk, you know.
Hmm.
Right now he's a jerk, and we really want it to work out, you know. But what if he's
Yeah.
one of the victims, but before dying he redeemed himself? That's what I'm hoping for right now. I'm like, redeem that character, please. Don't let him die
May
like a jerk.
hopefully, hopefully, but it's just this was easily after how season 2 ended, they could have easily fucked this up. So
Yeah, I agree with you. Like,
hopefully they still don't.
yeah. There's 12 other episodes to come, and I'm really excited about. I cannot wait, man. That feels good because we end the stream like with that discussion that is really positive and about good stuff, you know. And I like it
Yeah,
because
we started off on a fucking that, and then we got to like, okay, we're halfway there, and then we ended off like, okay, good.
on that iron note. So,
Yeah.
anything else to add? What do you expect from next episode next week? What do you want to see?
Oh well, they're probably gonna have like a, it's probably gonna be like a lot of fight like arguments maybe, or like with Sydney and like her, like the two, at least two of her friends there.
Yeah,
Like they don't trust her.
yeah, of course.
Sorry, I mean Courtney. Sorry, yeah, but
This will be like uh, a building block for like trust issues in the future, and I think,
yeah.
and
I mean, when do you think we're gonna get the bones?
man, I think Bones will be like mid to back half. I don't think we will see him that early. I think early they will focus on the current character we have so we get to know them better. I expect Jordan's son, I forgot his name, Cameron, I think, the guy with ice power. I expect him to show up
Yeah, I was
soon.
about to mention the guy with the ice powers. Like, what are they
Yeah,
gonna do with him? Because that's what I've been curious about that since season 2. Like,
me too.
what are they planning?
I really
Um,
hope they don't turn him into a villain. I really hope so because that will feel lazy. Like, that will make sense because they're good at writing villains, but that will feel like the easy way in, you know? I don't want
yeah, I
him to
think
be a
that's what's
villain.
gonna happen with how they're going.
I just don't want him to be a villain. Now, I expect him to be there before Bones. Bones, I'm pretty sure he will show up like maybe in the middle, maybe toward the back half. I think the first half is really like we have several murder. Like, I expect other people to die. It's a murder mystery, of course, and the next victim will happen when Cindy is with the group, so that will make her innocent. You know, I'm sure that kind of stuff will happen, and that's the best way to like free her from that kind of bad aura she got. And I really expect Courtney to defend and stay by Cindy's side. This is what I want because this is on board with her character since season 1. Yolanda didn't wanted Henry help, and Courtney stood by Henry's side even against all odds, and at the end Henry saved them. So I really hope that
Hmm.
kind of stuff comes back because this is in character for Stargirl. Now, you will tell me, oh, she has other adventure, character growth. She is different than her season 1 counterpart, so you don't need to change that aspect of her for character growth's sake. I
That
don't
is
want
true.
that. I don't want that. She's already different because in season 1 she was kind of figuring out how to be a leader. Now she is much more of a leader. She's not a great leader, but she's a better leader than what she used to be, and her relationship with Pat is on point, and she realized people have other needs. She's more able to listen to other people's needs.
I'm more understanding.
Yeah, she is no more as centered on herself as she was in season 1, and this is character growth, and this is something I like a lot. So I really want they will. I really want them they stay true to this, and she will stay by Cindy's side, and she will be right at the end. I really want them to redeem Cindy, because this is the only way you can tell a story with Cindy in it. She was already a
Yeah.
villain. You cannot
And
tell.
yeah, without killing her, yeah, this is the only way.
Yeah,
Especially with how she became a villain, like it makes sense. Like out of
yeah.
all villains.
And that's funny because that reminds me that team is about second chance, and this is what Yolanda was saying. So I hope Courtney used that kind of argument. That team is about second chance. Look, Yolanda, you killed someone, but we still wanted you there. You know, like
Hmm.
I don't expect them to bring this back yet, but yeah, maybe another theory on top of my head because we speak about Yolanda. Maybe it's actually Brainwave controlling Yolanda.
Maybe, see, that would make sense as well.
Yeah.
And
I
that now, because
I
it did it just with like how the person died.
yeah.
I mean, sorry, how he died.
Yeah.
Definitely seemed like was using her powers.
Yeah, I really hope Brainwave is brought back, but I don't want him to become the penultimate villain or the big bad of the season. I want him around. He will be cool, but I want him to be dealt with once for all, you know? Even if he's cool, like
Hmm.
I don't feel like you don't you don't need him that much. You just need him to come back because he was there in season 2 and this is a follow-up. That's why I say bring him back. And that could be an interesting storyline where she doesn't want to turn like him, but she turns like him. That could be an interesting aspect to it. So there's a lot of potential. They they need to get their craft uh, done the right way. You know.
Hmm.
What
Hopefully.
what else do you expect from next week or future episodes?
Uh, I don't really know. Like outside of that, I don't have as many expectations. I'm just really excited to see Mr. Bones eventually, but I don't really have like any and you know the ice guy, but I don't. Other than that, I more keeping it like open minded. I'm not gonna like. I don't. I try not to like have expectations for some things happening in some ways going into something, because I think that's a little unfair to an extent. But you know, so yeah, I'm more keeping it like open slate or whatever, or empty, whatever it's called. You know,
Yeah, open mind. So
open minded. Yeah.
as usual, any closing thoughts before we end?
No, not really. That's about it. How about you, though? You really
Nothing.
loved it?
Yeah,
Ah,
I just enjoyed my time. Stargirl was great. I cannot wait to speak about Jessica Jones season 3 with you. I'm really curious to see what are your thoughts. And this is funny because since I ended season 3 last week, I finished watching it. I
hey, you said you liked it a lot more.
yeah, it was much better. Nowhere near as good as season 1, but it's still a clear step up from season 2.
Okay, that's good because that's what I. Also, I did change my rating from season 2 to like a 7 out of 10 now.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, again, as long as it's at least like around a 7.5 or an 8, that'll be good
yeah.
enough.
And that's funny because they canceled Jessica Jones like Daredevil and all the other Netflix shows. And I will say this, that's not really a spoiler, but I will say this, it feels like a last season. And now they do plant seed for possible season 4, but it's not needed. It feels like a closed book, and this is great for a canceled show. There's no like big uh like cliffhanger that tells you you need to see more, and this is
Yeah, it's
great.
not like Ash versus Evil Dead.
Yeah. So I cannot wait to speak about that with you, and I say that because I am currently cutting parts for my video because I will make a Jessica Jones video covering all 3 season and the show as a whole. and I used clip from our podcast where you spoke about Jessica Jones, so I don't sound like an echo chamber in the video.
Mhm.
And I also took clips from other content creator, but since it's other content creator, it's like 10-second clips, 20-second clips, and stuff. So I cannot wait to upload that video, even if it will get like 4 views. I don't care. It was a fun video to make, and
I'll definitely watch it when
and
upload it.
yeah, and that's funny because as I was making that video, I actually did the part where I laugh at the writers, and I was right. Season 2, almost every episode has a different writer or director or stuff. Like, there's like as many writer and director as there is spot for them. Different ones.
Jesus Christ.
Season 3 is not
No,
that
no
bad.
wonder. It's like how we learned nothing from Star Wars with why the new trilogy was such a mess because they let two different people do it.
And I had a good laugh. I had a really good laugh. And if they ever reboot Jessica Jones, I hope they keep the same showrunner because I think the showrunner did good job. Season 1 was a masterpiece.
And the same actress.
Yeah, the same actress is obvious they will keep her around. Like, I think it's obvious that part, but as of the showrunner, that's what I'm worried about. If you don't have a good showrunner, it will be a rough patch. Anyway, I hope guys enjoyed. And next Sunday, you're still available, right? Next Sunday? one that
Yeah,
comes.
I am available next Sunday. Hopefully, if it pops again, like, recently I've been sleeping in for a bit longer, and sometimes that goes past the 2 p.m. mark in my time, so. But I mean, if that happens again, then I mean, I'm sure I'll be available at like 3 or something around that, or 4 then to still do it that day. It's just that day. On that day, though, when I did, and I was like,
Perfect.
when I did wake up like at around 3, and then I was just like rewatching the last like 10 minutes of Stargirl, I realized that I had work that I forgot to do that I needed to do that was important. So yeah,
Perfect. Perfect.
so hopefully that doesn't happen again. But yeah,
That's fine. At least we were able to do it today. So on
Yeah.
Sunday, 11th, it's the Sunday that is coming. The movie we will cover, you suggest Sicario, right? Or Arrival?
we're just going through that order of
Okay,
French,
Sicario.
the French Canadians filmography. See what you
Perfect.
think of his overall career since you love Prisoners so much, and yeah, Prisoners is more grounded. Sicario's more grounded. Like Prisoners, it's a sort of like I mean, I won't say what it's like the genre is and stuff, but yeah, it's very grounded, like military type
That's
thing.
cool.
Has like some like. Oh, at the start, there's like a drug busting type deal thing. Like, yeah, and that's all I'll say. Definitely grounded. It personally, it's the least favorite out of his filmography, just from me, because I did think like the second half kind of then like dragged on and ran out of a bit of ideas. But you might really like it, honestly.
Yeah.
And I also just don't think it's as well made and all that stuff as his others. But yeah, or as like interesting to me outside of like outside of like the first half, which definitely was, especially with the cinematography. But
Yeah.
yeah, you might really love it, just like knowing your taste though. And then
Yeah.
we have Arrival after that, which is another sci-fi, but it's a
Yeah.
very grounded sci-fi film, which I don't know if you'll love what it does, but it is a grounded sci-fi, so you might like it more than Dune and others because of that.
Yeah.
And then Enemy will be the most interesting because it's a very like metaphorical. It's a film that's like very artistic or metaphorical. That's like weird, and you don't know quite like what's going on, and you just have to like, and you just have to like like in interpretation type film. So
Yeah.
we'll see what you think of that. Also, Grounded has Jake Gyllenhaal in it again from Prisoners. Then the
That's
Blade
good.
Runner ones, since you're not
too
Yeah.
much into that genre and the slow pace, you probably will like the Blade Runner films the least. But I just added that in there, to finish off the filmography. Oh yeah, also and then Incendies, in
Yeah.
between that, I forgot to mention. But again, just reminder though, he did not do the original Blade Runner, but obviously we should probably watch that before Blade Runner
Yeah.
2049. So I
It's
just added that
obvious.
in there.
It's a sequel, that's
I'm gonna rewatch that before I rewatch Blade Runner 2049 as well.
perfect. That sounds great. And by the way, uh, only small tangent before we end this great stream. Um,
Hmm.
I am done translating for episode of 19.2 so far. And I realize it's a bit too heavy for retransfer. So what will happen once I'm done translating 5 out of the 10 first episode, I will upload them unlisted on YouTube and I will send you the link. And because it's unlisted, only you shall see it.
Nice. Okay,
So
that's good.
once I'm done with episode 5, I will upload all first 5. I will send you all 5 link, so you will be able to start watching as I am translating the other
Yeah.
5 of season 1.
And again, if you're like okay with it, like I'm pretty sure you can like download YouTube videos on those YouTube link downloader things on unlisted videos,
Yeah.
and I could do that. And
Yeah, do
again,
that.
there's
That could be
literally like
great.
there's barely like anywhere you can watch that show, like the original French Canadian cop show of that for
Yeah.
free anywhere.
Yeah.
Let alone English subtitles. There's like zero English subtitles or subtitles of anything at all for it. So
Yeah.
so I mean, and again, obviously you can't online on like any free movies or show sites because of your the law there.
Yeah.
But since I'm in Vancouver, I could get away with it and do it for you,
Yeah.
and you wouldn't be in trouble.
All good. Thank you. That sounds like a great plan. We are doing some
Oh shit! The FBI's gonna watch this. Fuck.
Anyway, thank you a lot for coming again. I always enjoy having you. It's always great to bounce back on someone else that has different take and opinion. I don't want to sound like an echo chamber.
No, echo chambers are not good. No.
Yeah, they are toxic most of the time. I see it. Even as someone that watched some
especially
of
the
them.
Snyder, echo chambers.
Any echo chamber.
Even friends in our community, like as much as I love them, there are some of them that do streams that are kind of just like a bit of like toxic echo chambers where I'm just like, why?
Yeah. And like whether it's positive or negative, echo chamber in itself is wrong. If you overpraise
Yeah.
stuff, they will never fix things. They will never bother making good stuff. But if you're too negative,
exactly.
they won't see what's good. If you know what I mean.
And like some people in our community, like I see them then try to call out echo chambers themselves, and they try doing streams that are the opposite of echo chambers. But then once somebody disagrees with their opinion, they get so offended. I'm like, Jesus.
Yeah.
It's like gladly not here. It's like, yeah, we definitely have different tastes. We have like agreed on a lot of shows lately,
Yeah.
with like Stargirl and stuff and films, but in different ways though. And then there have been like films like The Lighthouse and shows and Dune, and then shows like what was it one again? The Boys that we definitely disagreed on
Yeah.
with like how much we like it or not.
Yeah. So here again, thank you very much. I hope guys enjoyed. Do all the YouTube stuff, like, comment, and subscribe. We will see each other future video and stream. Have a great day, everyone.